Alone, we can only do so much. But together, progress is boundless. Together, we provide training and resources to people and communities, growing local economies, supporting education, and promoting peace. Together, we help those who need us the most, preventing diseases, providing clean water, sanitation and hygiene, and supporting mothers and their children. Together, we make a difference. And it is all thanks to you. As Rotary members, we challenge ourselves to do better, only looking back to see how far we have come. Last year, more than $430 million was contributed to the Rotary Foundation. Because of you, over 1,190 global grants, 470 district grants, and 225 disaster response grants were funded. And over $15 million was donated to support refugees from Ukraine. Thank you for supporting the Rotary Foundation and all you do on behalf of others. Because of you, together we can do even more good.
Good morning, everyone. In District 50 to the Vibrant Club Workshop. We're excited to have this opportunity to share with you this morning a variety of topics relating to the Rotary Foundation, membership and public image, as well as leadership and how all of these areas work together. We encourage you to have conversations in your local pod groups so that you get to know your neighbors and fellow Rotarians and have some really good and deep discussions. So before we begin, I wanted to give you some housekeeping information to guide you through this morning. If you haven't already, we ask that you pin the district office in the Zoom so that is the main screen that you are going to be looking at. And we're also seeing a lot of activity already going through Slido and such, so we appreciate that. In the Zoom, we're asking that pod scribes, somebody be allowed to collect responses during the breakouts and put it in the chat of Zoom, because at the very end we will be compiling all of this and sending it back out not only to those who are participating in this particular event, but also to others who are unable to participate, because there's a lot of great information that you're going to be generating, and we want to share that throughout the district. Also with Slido, individuals can go to, in your polls, but use the Q&A to ask speaker questions. And we encourage you to do that. And if you'd like some comments that are being made by the various speakers, just give it a thumbs up so we know how you're feeling about the activities that are going forward. In Zoom chat and the Slido Q&As, we will be monitoring those. And if you have specific questions, we will try and answer them if time allows today. Or after the workshop, we will make sure that we get answers to those questions, and they will be coming back out to you. We will be having our breakouts during the presentations of about 30 minutes so you can really get into some conversation answering the questions that are put forward. The breakouts will be about 8 minutes in length, followed by a 2-minute video that will be kind of the welcome back to the conversation that we are going to be having. And what I would like to do now is introduce our district governor, Renee Brouse, so that we can talk about leadership in a moment, but also presenting today will be past district governor Renee Campbell, who will be talking about the Rotary Foundation. Dennis Long and Elizabeth Sherman will be focusing on membership, and Karin Holton will be handling public image. And the master behind the scenes is Brandon Peterson, who's taking care of all of the technology for this particular event. So I welcome you to the event and have a great time. And Renee Brouse, let's talk about leadership and how all of this flows together.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. It is so awesome to see you on this beautiful Saturday morning. Mornings aren't my favorite time of the day, but it surely is nice out there. Thank you for giving us some of your valuable time. because we believe here in District 5100 that this workshop is a critical component to help create a vibrant, welcoming club culture that will help you grow and encourage others to grow along with you. The three-legged stool approach has been developed to combine all the actually four essential elements of Rotary: public image, membership, the Rotary Foundation, with the seat being leadership. And with that, if you go ahead and go to the slide, let's talk about leadership for a second. All right. So speaking of leadership, what are the characteristics of a vibrant club leader? If you could go ahead and put your answers into the slide, let's give that a second to pop up. What are the characteristics of a vibrant club leader? Pop those answers in there.
Hey, Renee, they're still on the first question. Should they answer it, the test question? What best describes your club projects?
I'll tell
What
you
is a
what.
Q&A question?
Yep, we'll just change it. Let's do a Q&A. Go ahead and pop in your answers into chat. What are the characteristics of a vibrant leader? And if it's easier to unmute and answer it that way, you can do it that way. Let's get some answers flowing.
Hey, this is pod 2, inclusive. Who else?
Pod 2, inspiring.
Inspiring,
Motivational.
motivational,
Energetic.
energetic,
Enthusiastic from the gorge. Understanding.
Fun.
Scary.
Compassionate from Region 8.
There you go.
Welcoming.
Welcoming.
Columbia Gorge says, understanding Rotary.
Understanding Rotary. That's Laura, because she does.
Ah.
Oh, you heard me.
I see Witty on the chat.
Really?
Enthusiasm again from the coastal region.
Confident.
Confident.
All great answers. Excellent. Thank you for sharing some of those characteristics. And if you have more that you want to share, go ahead and put them in chat. If you'll recall, for the past few years, we've really been centering on the idea of servant leadership, taking the proverbial triangle where the leader's at the top and the team is on the bottom, and flipping it upside down so that the leader's on the bottom and the team is on the top. Really using some of the characteristics that you have just described to be a servant leader, and allowing and empowering, uplifting, igniting the power within other individuals to really create the environment that is servant-led. And we hope that you have appreciated that and seen that at the district level and are using that style of leadership in your clubs as well. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. 4 key characteristics pop up when we're talking about servant leadership: empathy, awareness, listening, and vision. As a leader, it's important to create a vision, but it's not creating the vision by yourself. You have a team that is there to help create that vision alongside of you. Hopefully you have heard about the board development and have taken advantage of that at the district level with the leadership of Gary Stewart and Jim Boyle. It's an amazing workshop, 3.5 hours, that takes you through the importance of board development and creating succession of leadership. Listening with the intent to hear, listening deeply, not trying to formulate your response when somebody's talking to you, but truly giving them that time, that valuable time, and hearing what they have to say. Awareness, the EQ, understanding yourself as a leader, what your triggers are, so that you can manage those triggers and then also help others manage theirs. And empathy, it's the idea of walking alongside. It's not fixing other people's problems. It's getting to know that individual, understanding where they're coming from. I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. Those are 4 key characteristics of a servant leader. And hopefully, again, you see the district leadership implementing those characteristics, and hopefully you too at the club level are doing so. And that's the start. That's the seat of the 3-legged stool. I'm looking forward to contributing with you the rest of the morning and hearing what the rest of the team has to say. Thanks for joining us, you all.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you everybody for participating in putting your information in. It's exciting to hear the various thoughts that are coming in throughout the district as it relates to leadership. Now, we talked about that 3-legged stool, but around the top of the stool, you've got a seat. And we've thought of the leadership as one of those pieces that sits right there on the top of the stool that ties all of these pieces together. To be effective with the Rotary Foundation, with membership and public image, it takes leadership. And so that's one of the reasons why we want to be able to tie these items together. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Rotary Foundation. After this short video, we will have Renee Campbell, who will then lead us through that portion of the program.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Renee. And thank you for all being here on a Saturday morning. You know, we are very fortunate to have one of the most respected and trusted foundations in the world. And although this isn't going to be a full-on training of the Rotary Foundation, the idea here is to just give you a little basic information and refresher for the the breakouts that we are going to do in a little bit. So our purpose today is to explore how the projects that are funded by the Rotary Foundation can make our clubs more vibrant. And our first Slido question then is, what does vibrant mean for your club? If you would put your 1 or 2 word answers in the Slido, let's see what you come up with. And I'm going to continue while you do that. To be attractive to our members and our prospective members, we need to be alive and functioning in our mission of service above self and doing good in the world. We have a vision statement of changing the world for the better, and that includes us as we work together with our friends and fellow Rotarians doing good things that we can't do all by ourselves. The Rotary Foundation, lovingly acronymed TRF, is the financial engine that fuels so many of our projects. And the Rotary Foundation is us. It's our foundation. We do have some staff, but every level of decision making has volunteers just like you and me, like us, making sure that we are stewarding our members' contributions well. We are recognized by numerous rating agencies with the highest marks for transparency, for accountability, and for the amount of money that actually goes to our projects. It's a big deal, and we can be very proud of that, and it's a story worth telling to our members, to our communities, and to the world. Every member is asked to contribute $100 every year to the Rotary Foundation. We call that Every Rotarian Every Year, or E-Ray. When you think about it, that's only $8.50 a month. How much do you spend on your coffee drinks or your streaming services? I spent that much on 2 breakfast sandwiches the other day. It's the minimum ask of our members for our foundation. Of course, we have many members who are willing and able to donate more to the foundation, and many of them started small and worked up from there, and many of them would also be happy to tell you why. These are our numbers as of June 30th this year. Our district led the world for years as #1 in Rotary Direct. That's automatic monthly giving. We lost that spot a couple of years ago, but we are still #1 per capita in the world. Those who have donated $1,000 are called Paul Harris Fellows, after the founder of Rotary. And those who have pledged $1,000 every year, we call Paul Harris Society members. We have 196 of those. There are 49 more who are doing the work. They are eligible. They just haven't filled out the application. We have 233 major donors and 8 Arch Clump Society members who have contributed to $250,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. And we have 138 people who have pledged at least $10,000 to Rotary in their will. If you are a Paul Harris Society member, a major donor, and a Bequest Society member, you are given the recognition of Triple Crown Donor. Again, this is all part of our story that is helpful to motivate and inspire our members. So what happens to those donations? The funds we donate are invested for 3 years, and the interest on that investment funds almost all of the administrative costs of the foundation. That leaves more of our donated money to use on projects. Then for every dollar we donate, almost half of it comes back to us in our district in what we call District Designated Funds, or DDF, another acronym. And the other half goes into the World Fund. We divide our half, and we make half of it available for district grants. These are smaller grants up to $2,500 that fund either local or international projects, and this year we have $136,000 to help you with your district grant projects. The other half is reserved for global grant matching funds. These are international projects with a value of at least $30,000. They must be in one of our 7 areas of focus, and they have other stewardship, sustainability, and collaboration requirements, and we have almost $300,000 this year for your global grant projects. Then that district portion of the DDF that funds the global grants is then matched by the World Fund at 80%. So your project can be 2.8 times the amount that you have raised for the project. So we get back even more. And what other foundation do you donate to that lets you do that? Use the money that you have donated on the projects that mean the most to you. Then the dollars that are left in that World Fund are used to match those global grants, for the Peace Fellows, for Polio Plus, and also for Global Grant Scholars. So, second Slido question. Does your club participate in district or global grants? And I believe there is a yes, no, I don't know, and I do know. If you don't know, let me know and we'll make sure that you get some training. Then not every club, oh, I guess I was in control of that. There you go. Not every club applies for DDF for their projects, which I really don't understand why you wouldn't apply for free money to extend the value of your projects, but hopefully trainings like this will help you realize the value of making that application. If members in a club don't meet that E-Ray, every Rotarian every year threshold to the Rotary Foundation, which again, I can't imagine why a Rotarian would not donate something to our own foundation. That club is still eligible for a 50% match of their club funds for their district grants. If your club does meet that E-Ray threshold of $100 or more per capita, you can match your club funds on your district grants dollar for dollar. Our district is also very active in global grants, yes. And multiple clubs must collaborate together on a global grant in both funds and in active involvement in the project. And this shows how a global grant might be funded. You and say 4 other clubs have raised $20,000 for your project. You are going to get a match of $20,000 from our district DDF, and that district DDF will be matched again by the World Fund for $16,000, and for your $20 investment, you have a $56,000 project. Last year, we completed 90 district grant projects for both local and international. We had 12 global grants approved, in process, or completed, plus a global grant scholar studying in Edinburgh, Scotland. And we made contributions to Polio Plus and to the Peace Centers with a grand total project value of dang near $2 million. 57 of our clubs participated, 84% of our clubs. That is a lot of value that we have put out in the world, another big deal. And these projects represent changed lives, even saved lives, and individuals and communities that have opportunities to prosper and thrive. But you know, even if your club was one of those who did not apply for a grant, with your individual contributions to the Rotary Foundation, you are part of, you own every one of those projects that we just tallied here. You can say, that's my project. I did that. Another big deal. So all of this makes me very proud to be a donor to the Rotary Foundation, and I hope it does you too. But if you aren't, or if you'd like to step it up a little bit, there are several ways that you can do that. Of course, you can contact your club TRF chair, Rotary Foundation chair, but the easiest thing to do is to go online at rotary.org. There is a donate button on every single page, and it's secure. You can make a one-time donation or sign up for Rotary Direct. Make that recurring donation. You can start small. You can increase it as you are able. It is the easiest thing to do. You don't even miss it after you start doing it. So, if you want a deeper dive into giving, into grants, into recognition, contact me. I'd be happy to talk with you, or I can arrange to have someone from our District Rotary Foundation Committee come and speak to your club. So with this background, on to the work of this breakout. Your pod leader has a sheet with 2 projects for you to choose from, and hopefully you had a chance to look those over before as you were gathering this morning. These are all real projects that have been either done by our district, they've been applied, they might be completed or in process, but we took out the identification so you can own it. These have all been funded by either a district or a global grant, and you will use the same project for each of the breakouts today, building on the work that you have done in the previous breakout. So, we're going to look at how could this project story engage our members with Rotary Foundation grants? How can we use project stories like this to encourage our members to donate to the Rotary Foundation? And who can tell those stories? How can we use this project to build leadership in our members, that overarching theme of our training today? And then last of all, what is the one thing I will do this year to promote engagement with the Rotary Foundation, whether in giving or in applying for grants? So we're going to have about 30 minutes for you guys to work these out in your pods. Remember to put your discussion into the chat to save. We won't be able to hear from everyone when we come back for our 10-minute report out. So we'll see you in 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Now, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good time visiting about these questions in your pod. We'll have about 10 minutes for report out, so we won't be able to hear from every pod. But if you would like to volunteer to share what happened in your pod, if you would take one of those questions and share about that, then we'll let one of the other pods report on others.
Only raise their hand.
Oh, Brandon says, would you please raise your hand? Use your raise your hand feature in the Zoom. And so if you can report out on one of those and share on one of those, then we'll allow another pod to share on another one of the questions. And then if we have more time at the end, we can share some things that haven't been shared. But remember to record those things in the chat so that we have the information from all of the pods. So who would like to share? Okay, we have a hand raised from the White Salmon Bingen Rotary Club. Rotary, I'm sorry, that would be the Columbia Gorge East group. There, please go ahead.
Okay, so our club was fortunate to have participated in the Najajali project in Africa. And it was an incredibly wonderful experience for our club. We were in the principal person of that was Tammy Kaufman. And she was so committed and passionate about that. It was hard not to just grab onto her shirt tails and go along for the ride, which we all did, I think, in a big, big, big way. She shared that with us via Facebook and kept us up to date on everything. So the stories, the projects, I think our summary, I hope I'm summarizing this correctly, with how we can encourage others to participate and support the Rotary Foundation is by simply sharing success stories and touching the hearts of us as individuals, not requiring or even expecting, in my opinion, them to contribute, but have them do it from the heart. And the best way to do that, in our opinion, I think, is by sharing success stories or just stories, even if depends on how you value or explain success. But we have, I think most of us have joined Rotary, and somewhere along the line, as Laura pointed out, we became Rotarians. And I think that when that happens, it's because of the stories of how Rotary is doing good in the world. And it's at some point it touches our heart, and we open our wallets if we're able to, and help support the Rotary Foundation, because as you pointed out, it comes back to us at the district level. There are programs that we participate in that we do every year at our club. So in contributing to Rotary, we can be a worldwide donor, making the world a better place, and we can do stuff right here in White Salmon and Bingen, and and just have a wonderful, wonderful experience with it. And the generosity of our club is kind of consistent with the district. We have a very generous group, and we do not apply any pressure at all to people to give. I think that when I became into pets, we were talking about the three things that we're able to give: time, treasury, or talent. And at some point in time, we may be able to give one of those. We may be able to give two. We may be able to give three. We may sometimes not be able to even give any of those, but we're still Rotarians in the heart. And when the time is right, I think people that are committed to service step up, really, really touch others' lives. And that's what the Rotary Foundation does. And that's what inspires me, is what other people do, just watching them. So one thing we're going to do to promote the engagement of what we're talking about here, just of Rotary and the Rotary Foundation and the club, is we're going to take our Nudge a Jolly project and share that with the community, not just with Rotary. We're going to try to put together a public presentation because it was spectacularly rewarding in so many ways. So that's what we're going to do. And we think the leadership is, building leadership in our members is just a matter of sharing what we do all along the way. And I probably need to stop talking.
Yeah, we need to give another pod a chance to share as well. So if you would, do we have another one that's got their hands up? Central West wants to share with us. And if I could remind you, please choose one of the questions to share about, so we have more time for another pod to share as well.
Thank you, Renee. I'm going to bring up Kathy from our pod that's going to speak to one of the questions.
Can they hear me?
I don't know. Can you hear Kathy back there? Otherwise, we'll get her up here.
I can hear her. Can everybody else hear her?
Yeah, I'm loud.
Thank you.
Well, our group worked on Project 5, the high school youth drug prevention group. And there's a lot of ideas there, but one of the things that we felt was important is that you need to get 4 or 5 members of your club actively working on this project. And then they can find out about it, do it, but they can also get more people involved in it, because if you don't know anything about it. And so by doing that, then you can go out to the high school and you can get the kids and find out what do they want and how they can work at it. But you got to have people in your club doing it, and they got to know it right and left and center. So I think that's just that involvement. Definitely.
Absolutely. No committee of one. Okay, now we have the Central Valley North.
Hey there, can you hear us okay?
We can.
Good. We also picked Project 5, and we're going to deal with question 2. How do we get our members to donate to the foundation, and who tells the stories? So we captured quite a bit. Wow, this team is engaged. We think it kind of starts with the stories. We need to understand the problem, and so that we can rise that passion, so that those 5 folks will sign up. It starts with the stories, and we don't think we're the experts at those stories. The experts are with folks that have dealt with this before. There's got to be a club somewhere in Rotary world that has dealt with this. If so, what were their successes, and can they share that with us? Because then that helps us frame a model to move forward, learn from what they learned. The other experts are in our own high schools, the counselors there, maybe they're mental health experts that can share with our club, invite them to our club and help them have it so we understand the gig. And then to really lean in a way that's useful, maybe we partner with them. That came up a number of times in our discussions. They're the experts. They know how to reach the kids. They know how to assess where the problems are. And we just want to lean in and help them. Maybe we start off funding them or providing volunteer resources, but they need to be there because they know how to reach the kids to make that an effective engagement. So how do we encourage folks to donate to the Rotary Foundation? That we have to educate our clubs constantly on what the foundation is and how that money comes back. And we can use examples of how we use that money for other projects. Say, hey, those dollars we used, the district funds for this other gig, and it was so effective. that same methodology can come back for this type of project. So, that way they know that by contributing to the Rotary Foundation, and you can connect that with the story of moving forward in a partnership way that we think has a good chance of being successful, because look, these other folks have been successful with it. We got experts guiding us. Then your dollar is going to be well spent. So it's kind of it's a package deal. We also believe you can't go on this solo. You've got to have a group with you to pull this off. No one passionate person is going to carry the day on this.
Have we still got time for one more question, Brandon? Okay, we have the Central Valley South. Who's going to share?
Very quiet.
We can't hear you. Is someone speaking? Oh, he says, come on up so we can hear you. We've got, what, about a minute left, Brandon? Okay. These are really good points that have been shared. Get people involved and learn how to tell that story, and you'll hear more about that as we go on. Go ahead. Can you get a little closer to the microphone? There we go.
The stories, of course, should cover what is the cost, how many families would benefit from the project we're talking about, the impact on that community in terms of paying people. We were talking about wood stoves, pay people to produce those wood stoves, the health factor in terms of environmental, they use less wood, smoke is vented from the house. Membership has to know why we're doing this, and also as part of the story, getting feedback from the families that would actually benefit and publicizing those families. And I think that's about all the time I have.
Okay, thank you. These have been really good comments on how to engage our members with our grants, with giving, and you're absolutely right, as told in the first presentation, that we don't have to ask. As long as we are telling the stories that touch people's hearts and make them feel like, I want to be part of that, then people will give. So thank you very much. We're going to have an 8-minute break, then a 2-minute video, and then we're going to hear about membership from Elizabeth Sherman and Dennis Long. So enjoy your break. See you in a few.
What is Rotary? Rotary is a voluntary, non-profit, non-governmental, non-religious organization of industry professionals and academics working in intertwined autonomous networks providing self-education, exchange of knowledge, and humanitarian aid. It might sound complex, but it's built on a very simple philosophy. You go through life, working, studying, and taking care of your loved ones. But at some point, you might stop and feel a spark, an urge to not only do good, but to help others as well as yourself. Throughout life, you've had tons of ideas. All of them might not have been the most complex or the most developed, but it's the thought that counts, isn't it? When an idea is introduced into the Rotarian network, and we exchange thoughts, knowledge, and experience, ideas grow along with ourselves and are brought into reality. That is what Rotary is. We know that simple thoughts can become the beginning of something huge and life-changing for millions of people around the world. For us, it has led to projects like local mentorship programs, providing clean water, building schools, disease awareness campaigns, scholarships, exchange programs, wigs for cancer patients, teaching kids karate, providing medical care, blood donations, fighting illiteracy, protecting mothers and children, and emergency food supplies. And to think that our first project was a public toilet, and now we're on the brink of eradicating polio. We believe that with the right people, the smallest thing can make a huge difference. So when you feel the spark, remember Rotary.
Hello, and welcome to the membership section of the Vibrant Club Workshop. I'd like to highlight and thank the wonderful members of the District Membership Committee on your screen, Okay. My name is Elizabeth Sherman, and I'm speaking to you about attracting members. And I will be followed by Dennis Long speaking about onboarding and engagement. We can approach attracting new members similarly to how businesses market their products. What does your club offer? What do you want your club's perception to be? How do you want the outside world to view your club? This comes down to marketing and branding. Rotary already has a fantastic brand, but how this is applied to your specific club may vary. One way to approach this: what is the first thing that comes to mind when a non-Rotarian hears about your club? Is it a fundraiser you host? Maybe your club is a group of business leaders. Or maybe the non-Rotarian is unfamiliar with Rotary. Community perception of your club is likely going to impact the members you attract. For example, if your club is perceived as male-dominated, this might be off-putting to women. But if in reality you have a good mix of genders, then by changing the perception of your club, you can attract a different demographic, in this case, females. Therefore, by understanding your club's perception, you can predict potential new members that you'll attract, and concurrently, by adjusting your club's perception, you can adjust and change the people you'd be attracting to your club. Changing meeting format and/or activity frequency and offering alternative membership types both feed directly into modifying your club's perception. Changing meeting format and frequency looks like variety, not ending traditions. Maybe your club meets in a business park once a month, and instead of hosting a traditional speaker meeting, you host a networking event. If your club has a breakfast meeting, maybe you have the occasional breakfast for dinner evening social meeting. If you're looking to attract younger members, potentially with families, this can look like offering all-age volunteer events or family-friendly events. Consider changing or adding activities to sell Rotary to a new member demographic. Similarly to activities, offering different membership types can showcase the dynamics of your club. Looking to recruit more business-minded people, consider offering a corporate membership. You want more people under the age of 40? Consider a young professionals membership. How about offering a family membership? Consider spouses, partners, or even a parent-child relationship. I've also seen trial memberships. Think a 3-month Rotary trial with a Rotary mentor before induction and dues, or even an activity membership for someone who can't attend meetings but is really interested in helping with projects. Maintaining a strong social media presence and hosting an engaging website. Social media is your #1 marketing tool. But is social media advertising to the people you're trying to recruit? Social media can help build a club's perception, or it can perpetuate a negative perception. Which picture is more appealing? A group of people sitting at tables listening to someone talk at them, or the same group of Rotarians wearing Rotary at Work vests helping clean up their streets? Make conscious decisions about the images you portray to the public. This goes back to the perception of your club and how the community views it. In regards to your website, simple is better. Think about a commercial for a new snack you'd like to try. You go to the website to get more information, but you can't figure out where to buy it and you quickly lose interest. Make sure that important information is easy to find on your website. Finally, be transparent about the cost and time commitments. Time and money are the new members' investment in Rotary. What is their return on investment? Overcommitment, burnout, and hidden costs can all negatively impact a new member's experience. So make Rotary worth the new member's time and money. Are they having fun? Are they meeting is the club meeting their why? This is something Dennis is going to elaborate on more in the next sections. And now, Dennis.
Thanks very much, Elizabeth. It's my pleasure to talk a little bit about onboarding and engagement. It's a big deal when you think about how much time it takes to get people involved in Rotary, and a lot of times we think about onboarding as simply going through an induction ceremony and giving them a red badge or something like that, and that just doesn't quite get it all done. So it's very important that we go beyond just that kind of an event, but that event needs to be a big deal. We need to ensure that when we do the induction ceremony, we've got family members there. We stand and cheer and applaud and make them feel like they're genuinely the most important thing that's ever happened to our club when they come through that door. This is a way to get new members actively involved. If we can get the new members plugged in, then they'll be engaged and we'll have a greater success for retention ultimately. Only a few clubs do a good job of getting folks plugged in and onboarded. Most do it rather poorly, and what really demonstrates that is that over the last 5 years, ending at the end of this past June 2023, our district has lost 2,538 members. That's a really huge number. The significance of that is, what percent do you believe over that 5-year period left that were members for 2 years or less? This is a Slido question, so please feel free to put in your number. Okay. Well, it looks like you guys are pretty much on target. In fact, the number's 40% of all members who left, but what's more significant is if you just take the members who joined and were within 1 to 2 years, just that segment, that number over that 5-year period of time is actually 60%. Now, I'm sure we're all sitting there going, wow, that's a big number. I got some good news. We dropped that to 50% this last year. That's still not good enough. I think we can all agree with that. It's a number that must come down. We really should strive to get that number down to about 25%. So, again, make the onboard induction ceremony a really big deal. Part of what we want to do when we bring new members into our club in their induction ceremony packet is give them all the Rotary jargon. I mean, we all kind of have been there if we were a new member at one time. We all know that people talk about TRF and RI. I mean, when I joined, RI was, what came to mind was Rhode Island. I mean, obviously that doesn't quite fit. But put those kinds of things in the packet so right away they can start to understand the terminologies and things that we refer to that to a new person is foreign. Next thing you got to do is get our new Rotarians connected. And what I mean by that is it's a proven fact that Rotarians need friends in the club. If you join and you don't develop a friendship, odds are it's not going to last. One thing can be to include
a mentor, but sometimes mentors don't work out the way you think they will. And if that's the case, find another person so that when that new Rotarian is sitting there and they look up and they see their friend coming through that front door, a smile comes on their face and they feel safe. So make sure that they get a friend. As Elizabeth mentioned, one of the things that I'm really big on is we have to understand why people join Rotary. And what I mean by that is when we get a new member in, do we sit down and say, okay, Fred, Joan, why was it that you said yes to joining Rotary? What was it that got you excited enough to say, yeah, I want to be a part of this? And then you take that information, you jot it down in a profile, whether that's 1, 2, or 3 things that caused them to join Rotary, and then you follow on about every 90 days for the first 2 years. Not just the first 90 days, but for the first couple years, and you sit down and you say, you know, you said you joined because you wanted to be involved in youth activities. How are we doing? Do you feel engaged in youth activities? You want to develop your leadership skills. How are we doing? Are you gaining some skill levels that you can take back to your workplace and help you be a better leader in your work environment? Those kinds of things are so important. It's then getting new members involved in service projects or fundraisers. I call them fundraisers because my son kind of taught me that. But it's whenever you do fundraising or service projects, doing it. It's being among other club members. It's an informal environment that really helps to engage those newest members in a way that they get to know you, we get to know them. Important part about service projects is when we get a new member in our club to ask them their perspective on that project. If we get some good ideas, they see things through a different lens. So if we get some good ideas from them that help us to change that project up a little bit, sometimes we've had that project for 20 years and it's never changed. We haven't kept up with the times. That new member can bring us a different perspective. So if we take their ideas, plug them in and play them, automatically they're going to feel important and part of your club. So really work hard on looking at those kinds of opportunities. So if we do all these things, you're going to retain a higher percentage of your newest members. Next thing I want to talk about is engagement. I think we all know that engagement is using some of the many tactics that I just talked about, but it's also helps us to make sure that people are involved. And you know, sometimes we don't think about those people that we haven't seen for a while. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But one of the things that I want to mention about why we lose people before I get too deep into this is we lose about 4% of our members every year due to relocation, health issues, or death. Not much you can do about any of those things. I mean, if we could solve the death problem, our membership would definitely go up. People would want to join us for sure. But it still leaves a really big number. That's 96% of the people that we can do something about. So it's so important that club leadership take hold of this and take a look at, okay, what are the things in our club that we do really well that inspires people to want to be a part of our club? And what are the things that we can improve upon? And sometimes we have blind spots. We don't even see those things. So it's important to take a look at some of the tools that are provided through Rotary International that help us to assess how our club is doing. And we're going to have some links at the end of all of the presentations that you can plug into that you can use in your club to help you identify your strengths and your weaknesses. So if we can do a good job as leaders identifying what our strengths and weaknesses are, we can then find ways to improve our club. It's some simple things sometimes. It's changing your meeting. You know, our club recently, it was in the spring, decided to go from 4 Tuesdays a month to 2 We now meet on the 2nd and 4th. Candidly, when that first came up, I wasn't too sure about it, but we thought, okay, let's do it for 90 days. What we found now is that we've got people interested in joining our club that couldn't really commit to an every Tuesday event, but they can commit to twice a month. And we do a 5th Tuesday when there are 5, and there's 4 of those during the year. And those are fun events. It's just great. And we've had our first one last month, and we did a 60s party, and I dressed up in a hippie costume, if you can imagine that. But I was a child of the 60s, so it worked for me. At any rate, it's stuff like that can really get people excited at your meetings. Make sure that your meetings are fun and engaging. We want to be sure that we're talking about our goals and objectives and highlighting the successes. People want to be a part of a winning team. So if we keep looking at those things, that like our membership, our club recently, we're 15 members, small club. We brought in a past member because we went to the 2 meetings a month format last month. We've got another one that's indicated a strong interest coming in next month, and we have 2 people that joined or have made application to join, and they're going to join because we have 2 meetings a month and they like our format. So you want to make sure that your meetings are fun, that they're engaging, and you know, at that point I think you'll have some success with retaining your new members. So if the why is lacking of those that aren't coming, you know, as I've talked about before, it's the same thing. What are we going to do to get those folks back? You know, I've said that club leadership holds that key, but when they're missing in action, these are the folks that are at risk. They're the people that I have oftentimes referred to as the shadow people. They're kind of in the background. We know them. They think about us. We think about them, but we don't engage. We somehow just kind of, oh, somebody will reach out and contact them. Well, it's important that somebody does, because I'll tell you what, when we get to Q4, April, if we haven't done that, they're gone. They're gone forever. Those are the folks we're going to lose. So we got to engage those folks now, right now. We're just, tomorrow we start Q2, quarter 2. So it's important to reach out to those folks, bring them back into the light, and we can do that through projects using the Learning Center. It has some great tools on how to reach out and grab some people. And the other group, which is the group that I'm a part of, the membership committee of your district, stands ready to help you in any way that we can. We don't tell you what to do, but you've got a wealth of knowledge on that committee. Elizabeth showed that in the early on slides. We've got former AGs, former district governors. I've been around the block more than a couple of times. And so we would love to help your club go to the next level, whatever that is. So with that now, we've got pod questions for you to take a look at. The first one is, how can we use today's project stories to attract new members? Second one is, how can projects like these engage at-risk members and improve member engagement? And the third one is, when a project does not satisfy the why, you've heard me talk about the why quite a bit for a club member, how do you deal with that? Because if you keep those folks out in the shadows, then they're going to disappear on you. So I think we've got a half an hour to take a look at these questions. Again, please, those of you that are scribes, put that in the Zoom chat so that we can have a record of that. This will be important for us to use as we come back to each of you with that information that you can use. And there's also Slido for you to use and plug in and put information in there as well. So I'll see you back here in about 30 minutes. Look forward to hearing your ideas. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope Hope you had a great discussion. I did get a couple of texts that said that their groups were really well engaged in talking about membership, and that really pleases me and Elizabeth. So we're here now to take on some of the pod questions, but we want to take them on one at a time. We don't want to jump around. So I'm going to have Elizabeth repeat what the first question is, and then you will be able to give us an active response. We'd like to keep your responses in the visual at least, to less than 3 minutes. That way we can cover all 3 questions during the 10 minutes we have allocated. And you can, at the same time, you can use Slido for each question to put up your favorite thought about what that question is referencing. So I'm going to let Elizabeth announce the question, and then we're going to get started.
Thank you. So how can we use today's project's stories to attract new members? So, is there any? So
yeah, raise your hand if you'd like to. If you've got something that you believe is really special and people would enjoy hearing about now. Again, make sure that all of your responses wind up in the Zoom chat so that we have that information and can recycle that.
So Portland Metro Region.
Who wants to speak for the Portland Metro Region?
You're muted.
I think you might be muted, yeah. We don't hear you.
I think what we heard from the entire group was this notion of really coming to know everybody in your club in a way that says what matters to you and what affirms you, and what is it that we could then, as presidents or influencers, call on people to really participate and take a leadership. At the same time, knowing that everybody has something to contribute to every project because there's a host of skills that they can bring to it. I shared personally that my first Rotary president said to me, "What's the project that you'd like us to do within your school district that would move the needle or change something? Give me a proposal." And I gave him this proposal. And within a year's time, we had this highly transformative engagement around the Latino community, bringing teachers from Mexico to the US and teachers from the US to Mexico for 6 to 8 week periods, learning language and culture and all those things. But it really is that a deep listening that a president has the possibility, or any member has the possibility, to inquire of another person. And with that comes opportunity, transformative opportunity. And I think that's what we were thinking about in relation to Guatemala too, that if there is a real exchange of understanding of the roots of the conditions and knowing people and actually bringing people from that area, if not through Zoom, maybe we could even do it where we travel and we go to know people, but to hear the roots of the issues and the passion of our membership. So I think that was crucial for our discussion.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. There's another response?
From Western?
Western?
Working on the unmuting. So I'm going to address the second question here, which was how to engage at-risk members and improve member engagement. I think what you want to do is ask the at-risk members to take some part of the project. People have different skill sets, different background, different experiences, and if we can ask them, hey, we'd like to use your experience and your background to help this project be successful, they feel engaged, they're happy to be asked. We also say or suggested that a lot of times committees or people in the club will present the status of the project, and they'll inform the group, hey, on this date this happened, we have this many people, etc. But they don't talk about any challenges or roadblocks they're experiencing and asking for help. Hey, if anyone can help me get past this or help me contact someone and get media publicized, I could use some help there. And just the simple ask of asking for help will get people to engage. And I think the key thing of this is just give these at-risk members something to do and remind them why they're in Rotary.
Excellent. Like that. Good response. Okay. Anybody else want to talk about question 1 or 2?
Coastal? Or
Central East?
I will if nobody else is going to.
All right.
We talked about looking at those in terms of the perception of the clubs in the community, and really looking at having a project that gets the publicity out there and that is a talking point with people in your community, can bring in some more members. But there has to be that follow-up with the people that may even come out and help. Our club is doing a project today that we have community members helping with. Well, I'm hoping that somebody is getting all their information and that we continue that connection with those people and can hopefully bring them into Rotary. And so hadn't thought about that before, so we'll see if that happens.
No, that's good stuff, Leah. I know that a lot of times, we all have friends of Rotary. Some of those friends of Rotary are former Rotarians that, for whatever reason, drifted away, but they still will come out on their pet projects. So I think what you're talking about makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, who is this?
Central East.
Central East. Yes.
We mostly talked. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. About question one, but mostly about social media, about how to get, how to use our Facebook and connecting and linking to other groups that we have that get us broaden our audience, make it to people that have never heard of Rotary before, but they see what we're doing and they're interested in it. So our project 2 that we were talking about was more about, collecting musical instruments to impact schools. Well, it's a lot of people. I used myself an example that I didn't know anything about Rotary until I was impacted through Youth Exchange, and I've been a member for many years from that, but I would have never sought out at the time to join Rotary as a new member had I not been impacted by that project. So choosing projects and things that we're doing that will get into a different audience of just the ones that we are connected with by members in our clubs, by people that we know and invite in, is how do we get our out publicly farther to more people and where they hear the story of what we're doing. They like that story. They want to be engaged in the community project, and then, working to bring those people that are interested and want to partner in something like that and tell them the value of why Rotary is there and how they can become a part of that as a new member. So a lot of that is just the presence in being able to use Instagram and Facebook to get out to a younger audience as well, so that they see what we do and then they decide they want to be a part.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right. We have time for one more, and I'd really like it if someone would address the third question, which is, when a project does not satisfy the why for a club, how do you deal with that? Response? Is there somebody?
I think he's walking away.
Sir.
So we have the Slido open for that if people want to type in.
Okay, you can do the Slido if no one wants to respond. But this is an important one, because oftentimes people, if we don't satisfy that why that I've talked about, how do you deal with that? So use your Slido to put that up, unless somebody has all of a sudden wants to raise their hand and talk about it. Okay, so far there's a pretty diverse response. Nothing that weighs, diversity.
Diversity.
Well, I had to use that word, didn't I?
Yeah.
Ask their perception. Good one.
Mm-hmm. I think communication is key.
Yeah, communication. Mm-hmm.
We got a hand raised.
Oh, we got a hand raised. Good. Who do we have? Rotary International District.
Southwest region.
Oh, Southwest region. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things we talked about in terms of drug eradication in the schools was having sort of like a community town hall or forum where we would invite a internationally or well-known speaker talking about drugs in the schools, and not just invite Rotarians, not have them just be a speaker at a Rotary meeting, but actually publicize some type of community town hall or forum where this well-known speaker, and we would at least get people from the PTA, the Parent Teachers Association, and school administrators coming to something like that, hopefully. And then once they're at this community forum, let them know Rotary is sponsoring it. This is what Rotary is. And this is a project we're looking for, and anybody who wants to be involved. And then once we've got some people who want to get involved in that project, maybe encourage them to come to a Rotary meeting and join Rotary.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we've come to the end of our time. Really appreciate all of the great responses that you have. I know Elizabeth and I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you today about membership. It's so critical for our organization to add new members, but as you could see, we lose a ton because we don't do enough to satisfy that why. So please be aware of that, and I just again want to thank you all for being here today and participating.
Thank you.
One Voice Every Club, a game that tests whether you can identify the correct Rotary logo.
All right, welcome to One Voice Every Club. May the best team win. All right, let's get started. Question 1. Which item uses the correct logo?
The banner.
Oh, try again.
The mug.
Oh, I'm sorry. The correct answer is the website. Now, this club used the logo properly by including their club name with the master brand signature. We don't use that old Rotary wheel anymore, and the Rotary logo is never used as an object, like a bike wheel. All right, next question. Does this poster use the club logo correctly?
Yes, it's correctly branded.
No, I'm sorry. The branding is incorrect. Let's try again.
Yes, it's correctly branded.
You're right. Well done. Look how professional that poster is. You could tell that logo was created in our brand center. It uses the club name and Rotary logo in the proper font and color. A quick tip for all of you watching at home, always use your club logo consistently. It builds local awareness and global recognition. All right, we're almost out of time. Final question. Why is this the correct Rotary Club logo?
Because it uses the club's name with the Rotary logo.
You're right. Congratulations. You're the new champion of One Voice Every Club. Now, that's all the time we have today. I'm your host, reminding you to retire those old Rotary wheels in your branding. And when Rotary clubs use a uniform logo, everybody wins. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget to visit rotary.org/brand center to create your club logo.
So as we talk about our projects and continue to move through our Vibrant Club training today, first off, I guess my name's Karin Holton, and I am the district's public image coordinator or chair, and I am also the area governor for the Salem region. And as we are talking about how we use our brand and our marketing now to share the story of those projects that we're doing, it's very important that we do embrace that we are people of action and tell the story as people of action. It defines who we are. When we're showing pictures, and there's nothing wrong with having a picture of a big check being handed to somebody, but that is not really a compelling photo that's going to share our story of our amazing projects that we're doing. So make sure that when we're out doing our projects, task somebody with being your photographer, task somebody with being your name gatherer, task somebody with being your storyteller, so that you can share those stories to your community, both globally, locally, internally, and externally, because we are very much committed to making this world a better place. And showing ourselves as people of action is how we're going to do that.
and engage people to become part of our project and become members of Rotary. And we all know more hands make light work. I also would like to encourage you all to look back at what your club is putting out. Look at your signage, look at your old signage, look at your t-shirts that you're wearing, your sweatshirts that you're wearing, your website presence, your social media presence. Make sure that your branding is what was adopted, yes, 8 years ago. There are clubs in our district that are still not using the branding that was adopted originally 12 years ago and kind of fully adopted 8 years ago. So make sure that you are using the current branding. And if you're not using the current branding, we are going to be opening up some grant opportunities in a month or so that will allow those clubs that aren't in current branding to come into compliance with branding with a little bit of help from the district to help them get some website updates and social media updates and graphics updates that will bring them into the new branding. So by presenting ourselves as Rotarians and people of action, we're bringing Rotary's vision and life and making it more relevant and tangible to people in our community. And as a global organization, we want to make sure that no matter where you are, you see that image of Rotary and you know what Rotary is. You know what that project is, and you know that that's a project you can trust and become a part of and support. As Rotary members, we are members, or as Rotary members, we are the messengers of this campaign and making sure that we are sharing the story wherever we go, whether we're standing in the grocery line, whether we're at our club meeting, whether we are talking with friends at work, whether we're talking with friends at a social gathering. Share our stories, share our activities. When people ask what we're doing, talk about the amazing projects you're working on. I'm working on an amazing project doing a water project in Africa. How are you doing that? Well, it's through my Rotary Club. Share the stories. One thing I would encourage us all to do as we are sharing our stories is to move away from those acronyms that we use a lot as Rotarians. When a person comes and wants to hear about what's going on, don't be, yeah, we're doing a project, it's funded by the TRF, and we're going to go in and we're going to have the YE help us, and we're going to make sure that this is an amazing project. And no, back that up a little bit and let people know that we have a project. It's funded by the Rotary Foundation. Have you heard about the Rotary Foundation? And we're going to engage our youth exchange partners in making sure this project happens. Let people know what it is we're doing and who we're involving, not through an alphabet soup, but by actually sharing what our story is. A lot of the message about our public image side has already been shared, but I want to support that a little bit more. Use your social media to tell your story. Get engaging photos. And use your websites and make sure they're up to date and that you share what your programs are, upcoming programs are. Invite people to come to your clubs and then follow up with them afterwards. We're going to kick out to our pod questions a little earlier on this one to give you a little bit more time to discuss them. But as we are talking about the questions here, what do we do? And who do we tell? Who is our audience? Is our audience an internal audience or is our audience an external audience? So as you're answering these questions, think about those things. Are we sharing our message with other Rotarians? Are we sharing our message with community members? And should that and does that story change when we are addressing different audiences? So the first question I would like you to talk about in your pod is which tool or tools does your club need assistance in using better to engage people with your community projects and your club? And what are some of the key elements that your club members could use in an elevator pitch to share what you're doing in your Rotary Club? Oops, sorry. I would like to invite you to go into your pod discussion, and we will be back in about half an hour to share back some answers. Don't forget to put your answers in the Slido as well as in your chat. Welcome back. I hope you had some good discussion about how you can better use the tools available to you through the Rotary Brand Center to help tell the Rotary story in your club. Let's open up the Slido and pop your answers in there to that first question of which tools does your club need assistance with to use a little bit better? It looks like DACTB is one of those things that we could use a little bit of training on. A lot around the website and knowing what tools are available to you. I do hope that you will all go on to the Rotary International website and check out the Brand Center and kind of get used to some of the tools that are available for you. There is a wealth of information, graphics, templates available to you there for just about everything you could possibly need it for. Press release templates, ad templates, billboard templates. Looks like website and DACTB are far and away the things that we can provide some help with. Oh, Venmo. That's a good one.
Couple on Rotary.org.
Couple of Rotary.org. Great. As you finish typing on those, I'm going to ask the next question so you can be thinking about what you're going to enter in your Slido on that one. And what are those key elements that you see that club members can use in an elevator pitch or a stairwell pitch or a grocery line pitch? What are the key elements that you would like to see your club members using to tell your club's Rotary story? Pop those in there on the Slido. Community service and history kind of defines Rotary right there, right?
Did you ask for me?
No.
Coastal has something.
Oh, Coastal, sorry. I didn't see that you had your hand raised. Coastal, go ahead.
Okay. We were talking that we really want to make sure that when people are talking to other people about Rotary, that they start with the project. They start with, hey, we were doing this big cleanup today. It was so much fun. We did something great, but it was a lot of fun. And then somebody asks you, well, how'd you get to do that? And then that's when you throw in the Rotary, that you throw that hook out of something fun and interesting. And then you tell them that it was with Rotary. And I think that makes a faster connection with people. So that's ours.
Thank you for sharing that, Leah. I had a situation a couple of weeks ago where I was in a meeting and the term serious fun came up. And that is the time when you're doing serious work and you're about a project or something like that, but you don't realize it maybe while you're in the crux of whatever the project is or the activity, but then you realize you had fun. And that is what is defined as serious fun. And I think that's what a lot of our Rotary projects are some good and serious fun. I saw somebody else there that had their hand up. Go ahead, Central West.
Thank you. Question came up. Is there support available from the district for Facebook promotions, LinkedIn, Instagram, like information on how the logarithm works, how to expand the reach? We have a few people here and there, but we're just wondering if there's something available from the district. And then any other specifics?
Well, Rotary International has a beautiful website. Yeah. But how do we incorporate that more into our own individual club websites, I think?
Yeah. Because our club websites, we were looking at our different websites and, it just depends on the club and what they're able to come up with. They're using the DAC-DB platform as a as a base, but it's not the easiest to work with. I've worked with ours, and I know Brandon Sarah, I know he's done some work, but we're just wondering what is available from the district that we could utilize to help us with that.
Well, the Public Image Committee is here. Feel free to reach out to me if you have specific questions about social media, web development, or any of that. It is actually what I do professionally as well. And so you can reach out to me for that. And I believe that all of my contact information is being sent out at some point in time to this group. And Brandon has one more question that I have time for, and that is Central East. Go ahead. You might be on mute, Central East.
There you go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can, thanks.
Yes. When I went through the, so one thing I think about for members in terms of learning about Rotary is that when I went through my doing for the president-elect on Reel, there's some of that, I would say maybe 60% of that each member needs to understand and know about in educating them about Rotary. And I think it would be easier for all of our individuals and members to have a better understanding about what they're involved in Rotary itself. And so my recommendation to Rotary is that they put together something for just the average member, not as lengthy as the certificates for a person that's going to become president, but rather just for a member to know about Rotary itself. Because in learning about much of this, before when I knew about Rotary, I just knew about that we did stuff for polio. But there's actually 4 or 5 other things that we're doing in Rotary of Visionary that people need to know about, and the average member doesn't even know anything about this. So this would even help a lot of facets about our club, and people want to become a Paul Harris Fellow, or maybe in terms of them getting their membership, rather than them having to do like 13 things to get that little red thing off their name badge, that they would just go through an educational process so they understand what they're truly involved with in Rotary.
Great, thank you for sharing that. I know there is some of that information on the Learning Center on the Rotary International website, but that is excellent information that we will take back to our Public Image Committee and work on how we might be able to provide some of that as a district tool as well. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I look forward to having further conversations with you about how you can share your story and become excellent Rotary storytellers. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Gary Stewart, who's going to help us wrap things up a little bit.
Thanks a lot. And I'd like to play off of that last question that was just asked in terms of there's great information out there that really all of our members should know about. And one of the ideas, I'm actually going to have it in the next Rambling article that District Governor Renee Brouse will be sending out, is conversation about having each club have a learning and development person. And then we can build a district-wide network of folks who are looking at all of the resources that are available that can be shared. So that as a heads up there. I want to thank all of you for participating. And the first thing I want to do is to be able to go back to conversation with Renee Brouse, who started us off on leadership, and then we will wrap things up afterwards. So Renee, take it back, please.
Can I just say, wow, guys, there's been a lot of really, really great discussion, at least here in this pod, and it sounds like all over the district. Thank you for being involved in that. Well done, team. You've done a wonderful job. As we finish up, Gary's already introduced it. We started by asking what were the characteristics of a vibrant leader? And we've gone through a series of different questions emphasizing leadership, specifically being a servant leader, using the upside down triangle approach, capitalizing on empathy, listening well, having a vision, and being emotionally mature, being aware of our surroundings, our circumstances. We've talked a lot about public image and membership and the Rotary Foundation. But to close us out with leadership itself, now that we've done all that, how does being a vibrant leader play into having a vibrant club? How do you respond to that? Go ahead and popcorn it out.
And we also have this available in Slido.
Okay, I didn't know that you did that. Go ahead, put it in Slido, please. And as you guys are doing that, I will finish with a thank you to the team. Thank you to all of you for participating today. And remember that as we move forward to create that vibrant club, that vibrant culture, we are also creating hope in the world. And I will encourage you all to ramble on. Thank you, District 5100.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you everybody for participating. We'll leave up the Slido comments so that you can be able to see that as we wrap up. A few housekeeping notes to wrap on. At about 12:30 this afternoon, you are going to be getting an email or message from DACDB, and it includes an evaluation for this particular session. We strongly request and urge you to complete that. So if you complete that, that gives us guidance for next year so that we know how we can better improve this and serve you. Because remember, we are here at the district level serving you in your individual clubs. And so your feedback will be of great importance. Also, we will be compiling all of the notes that went into the Zoom as well as the Slido chat, as well as report outs that we had, and we will be compiling a document there that will then be going out to each of you who participated in this particular session. So I'd like to bring everybody in to say thank you that is here behind the scenes, and we are going to wish you well and have an amazing weekend. Thank you all, and thanks for all you're doing.
Where are we? Oh, there you go. Short ones in the bread.
Great. Thank you all.
Yeah.